Okay, so welcome everybody to this evening's talk. Um, I know a lot of you are here because you do know Mark and you know that you never want to miss any of his webinars or talks. So I'm welcoming everybody from the Third Eye Wellness, and I'm excited to have you here for this special webinar with Mark. So Mark has taught theta healing to thousands of clients internationally with a background as a qualified industrial engineer and successful business owner, and he brings both practical and transformational experience to his work. Now, I have personally taken his classes many a times and experienced how quickly things can shift, especially around abundance. Each time I take his class, my abundance increases, and that is guaranteed. So, which is why I love repeating his classes, and which is why, honestly, this is one of the most repeated classes, not because people don't learn much, but because it shifts so much within them. And that's why they want to come back and, increase more. So I'm looking forward to what opens up for all of you today. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Maisha. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me to share this time with you this evening. It's a real honor to be able to share your time. I know how valuable your time is, and um, tonight I really want to cover a few things. So I'll just give you a quick background into myself. So 21 years ago, in 2005, I got very sick. And I got to the point where the doctors told me there's nothing more they can do to help me. So I had a medically incurable health condition and I was lost. And I found Theta Healing and I transformed my life. And so all of a sudden I was healed, and all of a sudden it was like, well, what am I going to do with my life? Because I had to give my business away because I was so sick. And Theta Healing just kept pushing me down this path. And even to the point where I did the first instructors training just to meet Vienna. I only wanted to meet Vienna. And in that class, she said, 80% of you will go on and teach this work. And I remember thinking, thank God I'm in the 20%, because I had no idea, no intention of becoming a healer. If I'm being completely honest with you, I was very conventional thinking. And like even my background, like a very Catholic upbringing. So the whole spirituality thing was really weird for me. And it was a big stress. But all of a sudden, I had this miraculous transformation, and I was a believer. And so all of a sudden, it became a situation of, okay, well, now I've got a second chance of life. How can I make a difference in other people's lives as well? How can I help other people get that second chance? How can I help other people transform their lives and create the success and abundance that they desire? And this was an incredible vehicle for me to do that. And so one of the things that I've done is created the Wealth Consciousness class. And that's a class that allows you to transform all areas of your life. See, we talk a lot about manifesting in general life, but also in theta healing and in spiritual healing. Manifestation is a big deal, and it's a topic we talk a lot about. But see, a lot of people struggle with manifesting, whereas with the wealth consciousness class, there's a simple process that you can follow. And if you follow that simple process, and what you're actually doing is you're working with your subconscious mind and you're working in alignment with the laws of the universe. And when you understand quantum physics and how that all fits in together, then creating the most incredible life for yourself becomes really easy. So tonight I wanted to discuss with you a few key things. And one of the first things that I want to discuss with you is, why is it that people struggle financially? And the reason why people struggle financially is not because of a lack of opportunities. It's not because there are all these doors closed and the opportunities aren't available to them. The reason is it's our belief systems block us from seeing those opportunities. So we could have a subconscious belief system that I'm not worthy of money, or I'm not good enough to have money. Or maybe it's things along the lines of money is evil or money is a bad or negative thing. See, these are all subconscious belief systems that we may be carrying. And these belief systems are what block you and stop you from actually creating the life that you desire. See, if I have a belief system that money is bad or money is evil, and I believe that I'm a good person, then what's going to happen is I'm going to block money coming to me because money's a bad thing. So any opportunities that are going to come up that are going to allow me to make more money, I'm going to make sure unconsciously that I don't see those opportunities. I'm going to make sure I miss those opportunities. That's what my subconscious is doing because the subconscious believes that money's a bad thing. So now the subconscious is working to protect me and stop me from experiencing something that's bad. So that's how our belief systems work. That's how our subconscious works. We may have belief systems that every time money comes in, it just goes out. And you've probably all experienced that at some point in your life. You have this extra money come in, and then some sort of unexpected expense comes in, and straight away that money's gone again. It is a pattern that your subconscious has created in your life. And see, that pattern may not even be yours. That pattern may be your parents' pattern. But when you were growing up with your parents, you saw them having that experience and you just unconsciously followed the experience that they were having. And you take that on as your truth unconsciously. So this is what happens for a lot of people. We have these unconscious patterns that are creating the experiences that we're having. So one really important thing to understand is that money does not make you a good or a bad person. If you are a good person, then money will amplify your goodness. If you're a bad person, then money will just amplify your badness. That's how it works. Money doesn't make you a good person. Money just amplifies what you are. So if you are a good person, then you're going to find that you will do good things with your money. And so it's really important that you understand that as a good person, the more money you have, the bigger the difference you can make in other people's lives. So it's really important to understand that there are patterns that are in our subconscious that are actually blocking us from having more abundance. So one other thing that I really find important to share with you is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't create success in their lives. And okay, so here's what's happening. You're putting a lot of effort into what you're experiencing today, right? So you're going to work, you're doing everything that you can. Your mind is constantly trying to work out how you can change things. So you're putting a lot of energy, you're putting a lot of effort in to the life that you're experiencing today. To be successful, that is exactly the amount of energy you need to put in. So you don't need to put more energy into being successful. You're already putting enough energy in. What we need to do is focus that energy in the right areas. As long as your energy is focused in the wrong area, then the results that you're going to get are always going to be limited. See, we have this thing called the internet. And the internet allows you to have access to the majority of the people on the planet. So if you, for example, write an ebook, So let's say you write an ebook and you sell that book for $1. Now, on the planet today, there are about 8 billion people. So not all of those 8 billion people can buy your ebook. So let's say only 50% of those people can buy your ebook. So that makes it 4 billion people. But let's say only 1% of the population purchase your ebook. So it's not very good. Only 1% of the population. So that means that you would have to survive on 40 million US dollars. I know it may be a little bit difficult, but I'm sure you'll survive. See, here's the thing. If you have $10 million invested, so just $10 million sitting in a bank account, and with that bank account, you get 5% interest. If you have $10 million invested at 5% interest, you will receive $41,000 a month. So would that be able to give you the life of your dreams? Would that change your life? See, it's about changing the way you think. As long as you keep thinking the way you've been thinking, you'll continue to get the same results. What you've got to look at is how you can actually start changing the way you think. And one of the most important things you need to change is the type of business you're looking at. So let's say, for example, I am a masseuse. So there are 24 hours in a day. Realistically, as a masseuse, the maximum amount of people I would be able to massage in a day is probably 12, if I'm doing like a 12-hour day. Physically, that would be exhausting, massaging 12 people in a day. So the income that I can create is actually limited. My ability to create income is limited because I can only see 12 clients in a day. And if there's 5 days that I'm working, then that means I'm seeing 60 people in a week. So let's say I charge $100 for a massage. That's $6,000 a week. It's still good money, but it's very labor intensive. If I don't work, the money stops. So what we want to be doing is we want to be looking at businesses where we can reach more people. What can you do that allows you to have a greater reach to more people that can allow your success to come in a lot quicker? See, this is where changing the mindset is really important. The more people you can affect, the quicker you'll create the success and abundance that you desire. Because let's say you build that successful business. Once you've got that money in a bank, you can just live off the interest. And now you own your time. So if you love healing and helping people, then you can do that for free. You don't need to be getting paid for what you're passionate about. You can actually do it because you love helping people. So it's really important that we start changing the way we think. If we're in a business that limits the possibilities for us, then the opportunities become really limited and it becomes a lot harder for us to create the success that we desire or the lifestyle that we desire. So it's really important that we understand that our belief systems, firstly, block us from creating the abundance that we desire if we feel that we're unworthy of money, or we don't deserve to have money, or we're not good enough to have money. Or maybe it's our parents never had money, and if we have money, then we're not going to be accepted by our family. That is a really common situation that takes place for a lot of people. So the other thing that we want to look at is there are some myths about money. So people have this perception of money. And one of the best misperceptions is money is hard to make or to keep. So the only time that money is hard to make is if you're in a business that's limited. If you're in a business that's limited and your reach is not very big, then it becomes harder to make money, but it's in our minds. It's actually easy to make money. And we are living in the easiest times ever to make money. With the internet, you have access to so many people. And like that example that I just used, if like just 1% of the population buy your ebook for $1, you're going to be very successful. So it's all about changing that mindset. The other thing that's really important, or as a myth that a lot of people think, is if I make more money, then that means I have to sacrifice. And usually it's sacrificing love or family. The other thing that people think they have to sacrifice is their health. You may be familiar, there is a saying that I've seen, and it says that they spent the first part of their lives chasing money, and then they spend the second part of their lives spending their money trying to get their health back. Right? So we spend the first half sacrificing our health to make money, and the second part sacrificing our money to get our health back. That is a belief system, but that is very common for a lot of people. A lot of people have that mindset that if I have money, then something bad's going to happen, whether it's love, whether it's relationships, whether it's health. So if I have money, then I'm going to lose something else from another area. And that's a really important mindset to change. Because the truth is, you can have everything. And the reason why you can have everything, if you have a look from a scientific perspective. So if we look at quantum physics, if I take my body down to the smallest particle, it is a moving energy. If I take the chair that I'm sitting on down to the smallest particle, it is made up of the same moving energy. So what that means is the energy that makes up your physical body is exactly the same as the energy that makes up everything in your room. So scientifically, we are one with the energy of creation. So if we are one with the energy of creation, and the energy of creation is infinitely abundant, the energy of creation can create anything in an instant. If that's the case, then the truth of who you are is you are an infinite being with infinite possibilities. Because if the source of the energy that makes you is infinite, then that means you are infinite. If we allow ourselves to truly understand that, then we will find that everything is possible for us. And having the most incredible life is easy. So having money plus time plus love plus health is possible for you. You can have it all, but it's about reprogramming the subconscious mind. It's reprogramming the way our mind thinks and the perceptions that our mind has in relation to money and success. So the other thing that's a really common myth around money is that it's wrong or greedy to want or desire more. So a lot of this comes back from religious beliefs. So with a lot of religious beliefs, there was this idea of sacrificing. So if we look at, I know in the Bible it says, it's easier to put a camel through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get to heaven. Right? I'm not sure if you've heard that saying before, but a camel is huge and the eye of a needle is tiny. So basically, it's saying that it's impossible for a rich person to get to heaven. If we have that sort of belief system, then we're going to make sure that we keep money away from ourselves. If we have that perception, and that all comes from the idea that money is evil or money is a bad thing. But see, money is just an energy. Money is actually just a tool that we use to exchange for goods and services. So before we had money, I would take my cow to the marketplace and I would trade my cow for whatever I desired. We didn't use money, we bartered. So I would trade what I have for something that you have. We would exchange goods or services with each other. But what was fair value? Was my cow worth more than what you were giving me? Or was what you were giving me worth more than my cow? So in order to make things easier, we created money. So we could set a particular price on a product. And if my value of that product was in alignment, then I would be happy to spend my money on that product. And you see that today. There are certain things you look at and you think, you know what? I think that's more expensive than what it's worth. So I'm choosing not to spend my money on that. And then there's other things you look at and you think, you know what? That's a bargain. I'm going to buy that really quickly. I need to have that. It's the value that you're placing on things. So that's what money is. Money is just a tool that makes trading a lot easier. That's all money is. So it's important for you to understand that in a lot of past generations, and this comes into a lot of past life stuff, but also a lot of our ancestors' issues, is in order to get to heaven, people would sacrifice anything. So there was a perception that the more you struggled, the more you sacrificed, the more the door of heaven was open for you. So a lot of our genetic and our past life beliefs revolve around the idea of poverty is pious, right? So basically what it is, it's humble or it's good for you to sacrifice abundance. So this is all that in our unconscious. And this is one of the reasons why we're blocking ourselves from having more abundance. It's blocking ourselves from having more opportunities that are going to allow us to experience the abundance that we desire. So it's really important to know that there are a lot of oaths, vows, or contracts that we've made in past lives that also block us in relation to money. So there are oaths, vows, and contracts of poverty. I've already mentioned that one, but that's a really big one that a lot of people make. So if we look at it from a past life perspective, society was very different, right? So society wasn't focused on purchasing properties or building a block of apartments in the city. Society wasn't focused on that. Society was focused on surviving, just getting through life. They didn't have like these huge ambitions of owning great amounts of property. The main objective for people in their lives was all about survival. So all of a sudden now we fast forward into our time today. So we fast forward into our time today, and there are a lot more things to do with money than there was to do in the past. Right? So in the past, everything was more related to religion. The governments were related to religion. So every country had a religion that they followed. It was very strict as far as countries and religion. It was very tied in. Religion and politics was very tied in together. So the importance was focused more on getting to heaven. And if sacrificing our abundance was the path to get to heaven, then for our ancestors, having a vow of poverty or an oath of poverty was a no-brainer. It was like, yes, pick me. I'm happy to sacrifice my abundance if I'm going to get straight to heaven. So, on a genetic level, a lot of our ancestors have taken that oath vow contract of poverty. In our past lives, we may have done the same thing in many different lives. And all of a sudden today, the world is a completely different place. It's a totally different environment. And all of a sudden now, poverty is different to what it was back in those days. Back in those days, all the food that we needed, we grew at home. Today, the majority of us live in cities where you can't grow things yourself. You can't grow your own food. There isn't the opportunity for that in most cases. There is a lot of genetically modified foods. There's a lot of things that, you know, aren't exactly the best thing for your physical body. So all of a sudden now, money has a different value in our lives. Money is actually more important because it has a greater use. So now, if we have an oath or vow of poverty, it's a problem. So it's really important to have that understanding and know that there are a lot of old contracts that we may be holding on to, and we can release those. So we'll go through and we'll release all of those when we do the downloads as well. But what I want to do now, because I will talk all night if you let me, right? So maybe what we'll do now is we'll open it up for your questions. So if you have a question, I can tune in and see what's going on. Or if you have like questions about theta healing or maybe about the wealth consciousness class, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Mark, we have a question in the chat box. I'll just read it out to you.
Yeah.
The question is, Dear Teacher Mark, do you have any plans to offer a course in investing or stocks that integrates Theta? Thank you.
That's interesting. Now, I haven't thought of that one. There are a few other classes that I'm preparing to teach. Um, there's one on boundaries. There's also um, one that's going to go deeper into it'll blow your mind. So that's going to be a really awesome one. But I'll keep you posted with that. But they won't be theta healing classes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we have another, very interesting question that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So, hello, teacher. I always seem to manifest the things I least want to happen, which then leads to financial losses and a heavy blow to my mental state. It's that feeling of being picked on, where the smallest things are magnified and result in fines. Previously, a voice told me that having a lot of money would be unsafe. Later, I became aware of this, but this year another voice appeared telling me it didn't matter if I spent all my money. Today, I was fined 6,000 again. And deep down, I feel such a profound sense of helplessness. What should I do?
Okay, interesting. So the first thing that you want to do there is like changing those beliefs that you've identified, right? So, like, having a lot of money would be unsafe. That's really important to change that. But what you want to look at is why would it be unsafe, right? What is it about having money for you that would be unsafe? So, um, if I tune into you and have a look there, um, it's it ties in more with your ancestors. So it's almost like if you have money, then you're betraying your ancestors. So it's almost along the lines of like, having to be good, right? So, like, for example, when I was growing up, I have to be a good boy. If I'm a good boy, then my parents will love me, then good things will happen for me. So it's that mentality of like having to be good. And so what's happening there for you is it's like if you have money, then that means you're not good. You're not going to be accepted by your family, and all of a sudden it's a problem. And that's why you keep manifesting like these fines or these situations to come up to take away the money, right? So when we do some downloads, we can give you some downloads in relation to those as well. But I would definitely dig on those issues that I just mentioned.
Thank you, Mark. And we have another question. I always fear excavating money related beliefs and fear having enormous abundance. It seems like many scripts are blocking me from having money, but I've noticed that my willingness to actively explore these patterns is rather weak. I fear seeing the truth in this area. Additionally, in the past, when I cleared some scripts, or I guess that's beliefs, through connecting with the Creator, I felt heavily influenced by my ancestors at the genetic level. I easily sense their powerful panic and some negative emotions, which have blocked me from continuing to dig deeper. Do you have any methods to share with me? How can I how can I dig or excavate money related beliefs with ease?
Okay, so first thing I would be doing is like creating a new perspective for yourself on money, right? So having like creators' perspective on money and making sure that your perspective and your definition on money is the same as the creators. So that's the first thing I would be doing. And so that way, you're working on the right things, right? The other thing that I would actually be doing there is I would be releasing myself from my ancestors' beliefs. So on an unconscious level, you're actually healing all your ancestors. And that's why it's so painful or all this, panic comes up when you're dealing with your ancestors' stuff because unconsciously you're taking on their energies in order to heal them. So what can happen um, in a lot of cases is we may have people that we love. So for example, my dad died when I was 16. So one really important thing that I had to heal was unconsciously, I was trying to keep my dad alive by letting him live through me, right? So the unconscious belief was I have to let my dad live through me. So what was actually happening in my life were all of his patterns were manifesting in my life, and I didn't understand why I was constantly repeating his issues. So I was keeping him alive by letting him live through me. So that's what I would look at with your ancestors. And what you do is you give yourself creator's perspective and definition on money. You release yourself from your ancestors' beliefs and knowing the difference between your beliefs, feelings, emotions, and theirs, and knowing that it's safe to heal these issues without betraying your ancestors. That's a really important aspect. And then from there, you'll find that it's going to be a lot easier to heal your issues. Right?
Thank you, Mark. Um,
So,
Teacher, I've had a few successful manifestations, but every time the money manifests, it's accompanied by some dramatic soul-crushing event that causes an emotional breakdown. How can I avoid these happening in the future?
yeah. So again, that comes into it comes into like that idea, like so your perspective on money is wrong, right? So basically, what's happening there is you've got this definition of money is painful. So whenever money comes in, you experience some sort of emotional pain. So that's where it's really important to change your perspective on money itself and that you allow yourself to have the right perspective on money.
Awesome. So, teacher, how can I eliminate debt? Thank you.
Okay, cool. So eliminating debt is really important. So what you've got to do is you've got to create some sort of plan where you can get yourself out of debt. So whether it's speaking to whoever you owe money to and organizing some sort of plan where you can pay off that debt, that is actually really important. When you get out of debt, then the money that comes in is yours. You can do whatever you choose to do with it. But in saying that, there is some debt that is good and beneficial. So, for example, if I borrow money to purchase a house here in Sydney, then even though I'm in debt, the value of that property continues to rise. And so if I buy two properties, so what they say is real estate every 10 to 14 years doubles in value. So if I buy two properties, each for $1 million, so I borrow $2 million. So now I'm paying off $2 million. So in 10 to 14 years' time, all of a sudden now, each of those properties are worth $2 million each. So I can sell one of those properties and be debt free, right? So if there's a long-term plan behind it, if there's a purpose for that debt, then it's not a bad debt. The ones you want to get rid of are the bad debts, things like credit card debt, car loans, those sorts of things do not make you money, right? So when it comes to those sorts of debts, I would speak to whoever you owe the money to and organize some sort of payment scheme so you can make sure that you pay them off in a good time. But in saying that too, make sure that you're putting money aside so you can put that towards investments as well. So create a balance. But if there's not enough money for that, then the first thing I would be doing is getting rid of my debts. Get rid of the debts, and then whatever money you make is yours. It changes your energy so much. You feel so much more comfortable. Right?
Great answer, Mark. Another question is, hi, Mark. My partner and my parents kept saying we need to hold on to money that we have now for our future economy. What do you think about it? So I think it's the idea of saving money or keeping or hoarding. Yeah.
Yeah, look, if it's hoarding money, then it's a problem. So if you're holding on to the money out of fear that you're going to lose it, then that's not a good energy. You're not going to allow more money to come to you, right? But saving money is very important, right? It's important that you are wise with your money. Like it takes effort to make money. So the money that you have or that comes in from your work is a representation of the value of your time. See, time is something that you cannot buy more of. If you have $1 billion, you can't buy more time. However much time you have on this physical plane is how much time you have. It's a limited commodity. So you've got to value your time more. So that's where it's important to make sure that you save your money because you're respecting the time that you're putting into working and the effort that you're putting in. It's a recognition of the value that you're giving to society. So it's important to save that money. But what you want to be doing is get that money to work for you, right? I wouldn't just keep it in a bag underneath my bed because then that money is not going to help you. It's not going to benefit you because as time goes by, the value of money changes, right? 10 years ago, $1 million was a lot of money. Today, $1 million is not that much money anymore, right? The value of things changes. So it's really important that whatever you're doing with that money, make sure it's safe, but put it somewhere where it's going to grow. Or maybe put it into an account that's going to pay you interest, and that interest allows you to live off that money, right?
I think this is part of that class that somebody was asking for. Investment tips and stock tips that you're giving. That's a
Yeah.
good,
Investment tips are difficult because you need to understand the
yeah.
laws in your country,
But what
right?
you're doing now is giving them good insight. So thank you for that. Okay, we have
Sure.
teacher. I don't seem to have a particularly strong motivation when it comes to money. What should I do?
Absolutely nothing, right? So that's a good thing, right? Because the thing is money doesn't motivate you. If you think about $1 billion, what do you think? What do you feel? You don't feel anything. It's like, it's hard to picture. But if you think about what you're going to do with $1 billion, all of a sudden it's easy. The lifestyle of a billionaire, flying on private jets, helping people, doing things, doing what you choose to do with your own time. That's what you focus on. What it is you focus on what the money is going to give you. What are you going to do with that money? What is the lifestyle that you're going to experience? And then the money will come in. And that's one of the key things that we go through in the wealth consciousness class is what is it that you're creating? What is it that's going to give you that passion, that desire to take action in order to allow the money to come in? Right. And that's what you've got to have. You've got to have something that you're working to, something that inspires you, that allows you to take that action, and then the money will just flow in. But if you focus on the money, it becomes very difficult. Okay.
So we have quite a few questions, Mark. Okay, so hang in there. So
Yeah, cool.
Divya says, I really resonated with the part about part one the of life chasing money and then part two of sacrificing money to get your health back. I was a former US corporate lawyer and burnt out twice. Now I'm an entrepreneur with a best-selling book, skincare and gua sha company, and a burned out and recovery coach. What is the best way to balance money and health? Thanks.
Okay, so the best way to balance money and health is well, here's what I do, right? I work out my schedule. So I allocate the time that I'm working and I allocate the time that I'm not working. So I create a balance with my schedule, right? So um, I mentioned that, like, time is a commodity. The reason why you work is to create enough money so that you own your own time, right? That's the key when it comes to creating success. It's about you owning your time, right? So um, what I do there is I just focus on, what is going to create that residual income, what is going to create that income that's going to cover all of my expenses or my lifestyle. So I have more time for me, right? And that's the key thing that I look at. So the way that I balance it is I set out my schedule. So I've got like allocated time where I do not work. I've got allocated time where I do work. So when I work, I'm working. But when I'm taking time off, I'm taking time off. It's very cut and dry. But, like, being in your own business can be difficult to do that too, because there's always things that you need to do. So what it is finding that right balance, finding, like the non-negotiable times, and then also employing people so that you don't have to be doing everything. So paying people to do stuff so that you own more of your own time, and then you can spend less time managing them, right? But taking care of your health is actually really easy. It is so easy. And let me tell you what I found, right? So what I did was I found an amazing integrative doctor, right? Like, this lady's incredible. So she's like a conventional doctor, but she doesn't use like the pharmaceutical medicines. What she does is she gives you everything natural. And so I went to her and she got my health back on the right page, right? Um, so basically what she did was she gave me the vitamins that I needed, and I worked on the issues. I worked on the emotional stuff that she said. She said that I had thyroid issues. Within 3 months, because 3 months' time, I had the next appointment with her. When I went back to her after 3 months, there was no thyroid issues. I had some gut issues as well. They were all sorted too, right? So all it is now is I just maintain that. So I maintain that life. So I do my intermittent fasting and I eat, when I do eat, I eat the right meals for my body, right? And I feel amazing. And so actually maintaining my health becomes really easy. It's actually really simple, right? And I do spend money on my health, right? But it's not a stress because when my body is feeling really good, putting the effort into work is easy. But if my body's feeling really drained, exhausted, putting that effort in is really hard. And that's where everything becomes a struggle. So the key thing is getting your health right, but creating that balance for you. And you've got to look at your own schedule and see where is it that I can create that balance? Where is it that I can allocate that time for me? Right? Because it's really important. If we are creating our reality and everything works under the law of cause and effect, if I'm always putting everybody else before me, then I'm telling the universe that everybody else is more important than I am. And that's not good. So what you're doing is you're showing the universe that you are just as important as everybody else, right? And you are worthy of having that time off for you too. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Um, Hello, teacher. I'd like to ask for your guidance. I find it incredibly difficult to ask my parents for money. I can't seem to bring myself to speak up. I've been working on digging into this issue, but I haven't been able to fully root it out. Could you analyze this for me and point out which specific areas or beliefs I need to dig on? Thank you.
Okay, so what I would be working on is there is unconscious beliefs there around you are a burden. You're a burden to your parents. So I would release those beliefs. That's like it doesn't matter what you do, on an unconscious level, you feel like you're a burden to them. So it doesn't matter what you ask for, it's always going to be rejected or it's going to be difficult. It's there's always going to be a stress around it. So I would work on being a burden. And if we look at that burden stuff, it's come back from some past lives. Um, but there is a great grandmother that you actually unconsciously have to heal that great grandmother. So I would look at that and release that first.
Thank
Okay.
you. Just a couple more. I tried removing some blocks regarding money and then life goes on. And then now I am stuck in a loop wherein when I needed money the most, money does not come in, and I need to take it upon myself to produce money I needed by taking loans. And I am now in huge debt. I do not know what to do next.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I'd be doing is looking at, okay, so what is some sort of strategy that you can set up to start paying down those debts, right? But what you want to start looking at is, okay, well, what business can I create, right? And the best way to work out what business you can create is what are the things that you hate, right? If you hate something, I hate it when, my cup falls over and spills or something like that. I hate it when, my pen runs out. So what are the things that you hate? What are the things that stress you out in your life? And say, what can you create or sell that's a solution, right? So what you want to look at is solving problems. If you have problems with certain things, I guarantee you other people on the planet have problems with those same things. So if you can identify a solution and you don't have to invent it, the solution could already be out there. You can just market it better than other people. Then all of a sudden you're tapping into the whole world. You're tapping into a huge market and the opportunities are exponential. So the thing is, you know, a dollar, how many times have you spent a dollar on something and thought, it doesn't matter, I'll buy it. If I don't use it, it doesn't matter. People will happily spend a dollar, right? Especially if it's like a cheap item, but look at the things in your life that you find distress and how can I rectify that? What can I do that will help people with that same problem? See, solving problems is what makes people money. It's actually really simple. So that's what you want to look at for you. What's next? What can I do to create more abundance? What can I do to allow myself to make a lot of abundance quickly? Because here's the thing. If you're tapping into 4 billion people, making $100,000 in a day is easy. See, you got to allow that come into your mind. The idea of having like that level of wealth coming to you on a daily basis could be a stress. And that's what's blocking you from doing it. So I would also work on too, on what's going to happen to you if you have that amount of money. Right.
So, Mark, we have about still six more questions. Would you like to um
Um,
I'll take the questions and email it to you, or would you like to, are you okay to answer them today?
you know what? I'm happy to answer those six. We'll do those six.
Okay, awesome.
As long as it's okay with you.
Yes, yes, no, it's good.
Okay,
All right,
cool. All right.
perfect. So let me get back to the question. Okay. Teacher, I have taken several theta healing courses and cleared many issues related to money, yet my financial abundance still hasn't materialized. What must I do to truly experience financial abundance?
Okay, so what you've got to do is you've got to change the way you think. So in the wealth consciousness class, so we set up like a system. So you've got like, what is it that you're manifesting? What are you choosing to create in your life? And then you've got like the step-by-step process to allow that to materialize into your life. So you've got to actually change the way you think. So doing the classes is one thing, it's great, you're going to feel better, but you've got to take the action, you've got to change the mindset that you have because you've had a long period of your life where you had the same results. So, in order to experience different results, we need to have different patterns. And that's what we're looking to shift into now. So, what happens is a lot of the time we think, okay, well, I've done the healings on myself, I've, manifested things, but I'm still doing the same things that I've always done. As long as you keep doing the same things you've always done, nothing's going to change. You need to change the patterns. And it's about changing that thinking. So even if you have done my wealth consciousness class, I recommend you come back and do it again because when you took it, you're at one level. Now you're at a different level and now you're ready to see more. And a lot of the times, what happens is when you're at that next level, now's the time where you're actually opening doors up and you're allowing more abundance into your life. So every level that you get to, you'll open up to more. So that's a really important thing there, but it's the key to shifting the way you think, doing things differently. As long as we keep doing the same things, nothing's going to change.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have an upcoming class in May, 15th to 17th. I'll post the details in the chat box for wealth consciousness. So our next question is, dear teacher, I have created a significant amount of debt and I feel an intense sense of anger towards money.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's why you've created so much debt because you're angry with money. And so you're creating more reason to be angry with it. So I guarantee you that the anger started before the debt. Right? So on an unconscious level, you had anger towards money. So um, to give you an idea, one of the biggest things that will block you from having more money in your life is resentment towards money. So resentment, anger, similar energies. So for me, my dad died when I was 16 and he had a couple of businesses that failed and it was very stressful and he had to just go back into the workforce to make money. And then not long after he died. And so I took on a belief system that money killed my father. And so I resented money. And so I would make sure that anytime money came in, I'd push it away or, I'd have negative experiences with money because I resented money. So that's what you want to look at. It's really important to recognize where that anger comes from. But you'll probably find that that anger is actually coming through your mother, right? Um, Yeah, it's like on an unconscious level, you're trying to heal her, you're trying to save her. So that's the first thing I would be working on, like release yourself from having to heal or save your mother. And then you can release the anger towards the money as well.
Hey, hi Mark. I took your wealth consciousness class last year, and since then I've built up an emergency fund and an investment portfolio built primarily on discipline, living below my means, and a consistent payday routine. Lately, I have been learning more about emerging speculative market bets, but is there a way to identify investment opportunities that are aligned rather than listening to other people's opinions?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So you want to be really careful about listening to other people's opinions about investments. If you see, like, with the stock market, once everybody's doing it, that's when you should be getting out. So what happens for most people, everybody's doing it, that's when they start buying in. But by the time that that's happening, it's too late. You've actually missed the run. So what you've got to be doing is you've got to, like, whatever investment it is, you've got to research it. You've got to look into it. You've got to do your diligence on any investment and make sure that it is legal, make sure that it's ethical, and make sure that it's, like, it's a proper investment, because there are so many scams out there these days. You've got to be really careful of that. But the other thing too is, sometimes when it comes to people's opinions, they may have negative beliefs around money, and so they may be investing in things that are going to go down. And so you don't want to just be taking on their stuff. That's where it's really important for you to research it. But here's the thing that you want to be doing, right? What you want to be doing is you want to be increasing your cash flow, finding ways to increase your cash flow, right? Because then what you can do is you can invest in things like, if you invest in a property, for example, right? Here in Sydney, properties never go down, right? Property's meant to always go down, but you know what? It doesn't. The last 20 odd years, properties in Sydney have just continued to rise, right? $1 million generally is not enough to buy a house here in Sydney, right? It's very expensive. Well, if you think $1 million is a lot of money, then it's expensive, right? But if right, depends on how much money you have, right? Like $1 million could be cheap to you. But here's the thing, right? Property prices keep going up. And every week from that property, you get rent, right? So your money is increasing, your money is working for you. So what you want to look at is, what are some safe investments that are going to allow you to continue to grow, that are going to guarantee your money? And in the interim, how can I focus on creating more cash flow? How can I bring more income in? So what can I do that, so all of a sudden I can save up that, $10 million, and then I have $40,000 coming in every month, right? But you can invest that $10 million into properties as well, and you can invest it into other things. So what you want to do is just put it into something safe, right? Something that you're aligned with, right? It,
Hey,
what you, yeah, you just got to put it into something that you research, something that's safe for you. And then what you do is just increase your cash flow. That's the key.
awesome. So, teacher, years ago, I had a job where my salary was withheld. After arbitration, I only managed to recover half of what I was owed. 10 years later, although the circumstances are different, I'm facing the same situation again with unpaid wages. And I'm back at the stage of arbitration. Because of these withheld wages, I have fallen into debt. I truly don't understand why I'm repeating this pattern again. Thank you, teacher.
Okay, so here's what you do in that situation. What you've got to do is identify what your value is, right? So to give you an example, I had a lady who was she was just starting to become a healer, and she was charging $50 an hour for a healing session. And when she'd finished the healing at night, she'd be stuck there doing healings for hours on these people, even after she'd finished after the healings had finished. And when I worked on her, we identified that the very first job that she took, she was told that she was worth $10 an hour. So she was worth $10 an hour unconsciously, and she was charging $50 an hour for a healing. So unconsciously, she had to spend 5 hours for each of these clients in order to give them value. So that's what I would be looking at there. What is it that your value has been set at unconsciously? And who is it that set your value? Right. So often it comes back to, one of our first jobs, or it could be come back to our parents, like, you're not worth that much, or, those sorts of things. So that's what I'd be looking at. What is the value that you've set for yourself? Because once you increase your value, you'll find that like that money will come back to you. And the other thing that's important for you to understand is money is never lost, right? Money will come back to you as long as you don't need it to come back from the person that owes it to you. Allow the universe to bring it back to you. That money will come back to you. Just raise your value, work on your own value, and you'll find it'll come back.
Awesome, amazing advice. So
Okay.
I don't want to be in debt, but my money can't keep up with my desires. As a result, I'm constantly teetering on the edge of debt, which makes me anxious. This anxiety stops me from buying things I love, and that in turn intensifies my inner sense of unworthiness. So, how can I find the balance between fulfilling myself and avoiding debt?
Okay, cool. So what you do is you've got to raise your value, right? So create more income. So you create more income so the things that you desire are not an issue. But what you've got to do there too is you've got to allow yourself to know that you may need to sacrifice things in the short term so the long term you are free. And that's what it is like, with these business ideas that I'm saying to you, like, creating these businesses, the first few years you're going to be very busy. You're going to put a lot of time, you're going to put a lot of effort into creating this success. But once you create it, then all of a sudden you own your time. All of a sudden you can spend your time doing whatever you choose to. And that's the key. So the thing is, like, initially, yes, you may need to sacrifice a little bit and hold off on buying those things. But it's just knowing that the bigger plan, because you know what, right now you may be, buying a Louis Vuitton handbag. If you hold off for a couple of years and you increase your income, all of a sudden you may be buying a Lamborghini. So it comes back to what's really important to me. What is the bigger picture there?
So, the last question of this evening is, how can we help clients who only want to manifest and wait for the creator to provide, but are constantly unwilling to take proactive and effective action in reality?
You can't. It's simple as that. Like, you can't force somebody to take action. You can't force somebody to make things happen. But what I would do is I would just work on, what is it that's blocking you from taking action? Why do you feel like it's so difficult to take action? Right. That's all I would be doing. So the other thing too is I would work on why they feel like, the creator owes them their manifestations. And that could be a big part of it too, because like, you know what, the creator owes it to me. The creator should be doing this for me. As long as you're doing that, then you're actually blocking your manifestations. So they're the things that I would focus on working with them. Forget about the manifestations, work on what the stress is about taking action. Right.
That was great, Mark. Very insightful. I think all of us learned a lot of things and really great takeaways. Um,
Cool. Cool.
so would you like to do a couple of downloads before we
Yeah,
end?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll do some downloads and we'll also do a group healing as well. There's
Awesome.
so many people on this planet that need healing right now. So cool. So close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, allow your awareness to expand out past the universe. And as you expand past the universe, you'll expand into some white lights. There are many white lights. Keep going. And then expand into a golden light. And as you expand through that golden light, you'll expand into a thick, watery like substance, like jelly. It has all the colors of the rainbow in it. You may see different shapes. Allow your awareness to continue expanding through that and expanding into a tingly white light. Feel every cell in your body becoming one with that tingly white light. This is the pure unconditional love of the Creator. Feel every cell in your body one with this energy. Okay, and now as I state these downloads, if you're happy to receive them, then just say yes to yourself. So, would you like to know what it feels like to have clarity on the life that you desire? And that you know what it feels like to be passionate about the life that you desire? And that you know how to take action towards achieving the life that you desire? And that you allow the Creator to guide you on the right steps to take towards achieving the life that you desire? And that you are worthy and deserving of the life that you desire? And that you know what it feels like to be a successful manifester? And that you know how to trust that your manifestations come to fruition? And that you know what it feels like to have a successful business? And that you know how to set up a business successfully that allows you to have freedom with your time? And that it's safe and possible for you to have a business that makes money for you even when you're not working? And can we release any oaths, vows, or contracts that you've made for poverty? And any oaths, vows, or contracts of poverty that you've taken on from your ancestors? And can we teach you that it's safe to have money, health, and love all at the same time? And can we teach you what it feels like to be debt free and to know how to take the right action to release yourself from debt? And that you know what it feels like to be successful? And that you know how to recognize your true value? And that you know how to increase your value quickly and easily? And that you know how to value yourself the way the Creator values you? Okay, so just allow yourself to take in all those downloads through every cell in your body and on all belief levels. Okay, and now take your awareness back up into that tingly white light. Okay, and now repeat to yourself after me, so you can do it in silence. Creator, it is requested to fill every cell of my body, my family's body, everybody in this webinar, their families, anybody that we are aware of that can do with some healing at this time, especially all the people around the world involved in wars, all the people around the world experiencing natural disasters, And Creator, send all the world healers the energy of love, peace, and harmony. Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. So now allow yourself to witness that unconditional love coming down and filling every cell of your body, your family, and everybody that we mentioned. Okay, so when you're ready, take your awareness back up into that tingly white, white light. Take a deep breath in and open your eyes. Was that really cool? So if you resonated with what we covered tonight, make sure you come and join us for the Wealth Consciousness class. Even if you've previously done the class, you'll be amazed how much you get out of repeating it. It is really powerful. Maisha mentioned it earlier, but like I've had students that like year after year, they just do it every year. And I've been teaching this now since 2013. So for the last 13 years, I've had students that have done it every year and they keep increasing their abundance. They keep increasing the results that they're getting. So do yourself a favor, allow yourself to shift your consciousness and make the right changes for your mind so that you can allow the success and abundance that you desire in your life to come. It's really easy. So, um, thank you all for your time and make sure I'll hand it back to you. So, thank you, Hu Yu, especially too, for translating. You're amazing and thank you so
There
much.
you go. Say hi, Hui. So thank you for translating, Hui. Thank you, Mark, again for an incredible talk and extending to answer everybody's questions. I'm sure they're all very thankful and very grateful. And I will
Pleasure.
see everybody in, or a lot of you in Wealth Consciousness class. It is from 15th to 17th May. See you guys soon. Have a
Cool.
lovely evening.
Thank you.